Hello, and welcome to GPU Tester. Today, we're comparing the RTX 2060 Super and RTX 3070 Ti in 12 popular games, all tested at 1440p. Our testing PC details are also displayed, so you can see the full setup used in these benchmarks. Let's get started. First up, we have Marvel's Spider-Man 2. For Marvel's Spider-Man 2, I've used the exact same settings on both GPUs, and you can see them on the screen now. At 1440p resolution in Spider-Man 2, the RTX 2060 Super delivers an average of 31 FPS. Meanwhile, the RTX 3070 Ti provides around 54 FPS using the same settings. That's a big improvement, and for a game with detailed textures, the 8GB VRAM on the RTX 3070 Ti can be limiting at ultra settings, but it still handles this game very well. With the RTX 2060 Super, the gameplay is still playable, but the higher frame rate from the RTX 3070 Ti would make a noticeable difference in your experience. Let's see how both cards perform side by side. Next, let's move on to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. For Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I've used the exact same settings on both GPUs, and they're displayed on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Indiana Jones, the RTX 2060 Super averages about 32 FPS. In comparison, the RTX 3070 Ti runs at roughly 52 FPS. If you're aiming for smoother gameplay, especially for high refresh rate monitors, the RTX 3070 Ti would be the better choice. Let's check out their performance side by side. Now, let's test Horizon Forbidden West. In Horizon Forbidden West, both GPUs were tested under identical settings. You can see them on the screen now. At 1440p resolution in Horizon Forbidden West, the RTX 2060 Super delivers an average of 39 FPS. The RTX 3070 Ti, on the other hand, gives us around 66 FPS with the same settings. If you're planning to play newer AAA titles, the RTX 3070 Ti handles them more comfortably. The RTX 2060 Super still offers a decent experience, but the RTX 3070 Ti provides that extra headroom for smoother gameplay. Let's take a look at the side-by-side comparison. Up next is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. For Hellblade 2, I've used the exact same settings for both GPUs, shown on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Hellblade 2, the RTX 2060 Super averages 28 FPS. Meanwhile, the RTX 3070 Ti manages around 47 FPS. This game's cinematic visuals shine better with a smoother frame rate, making the RTX 3070 Ti a more immersive choice. For those on a budget, the RTX 2060 Super still does the job, but it's definitely more demanding at this resolution. Let's see how the two compare in real-time gameplay.
He will kill you. He will. Stop. Don't let him see. Be careful. You have to go quietly, slowly.
Moving on to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. For Black Ops 6, both GPUs were tested with the same settings, visible on your screen. At 1440p resolution in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the RTX 2060 Super delivers about 45 FPS on average. In contrast, the RTX 3070 Ti gives us a much higher 85 FPS. That's a huge lead. For fast-paced shooters like COD, the extra FPS makes aiming and reaction smoother. Let's see how they stack up side by side.
got visual on the truck.
Next, let's dive into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3 was also tested under identical settings, which you can see on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the RTX 2060 Super runs at around 44 FPS. Meanwhile, the RTX 3070 Ti hits roughly 83 FPS. If multiplayer performance is your priority, the RTX 3070 Ti's advantage is clearly noticeable. For the RTX 2060 Super, you'll still get a playable experience, but the smoother performance of the RTX 3070 Ti might be more appealing. Watch the side-by-side comparison.
On your six.
Now, let's check out God of War Ragnarök. For God of War Ragnarök, the same settings were applied to both GPUs, and they're shown on the screen now. At 1440p resolution in God of War Ragnarök, the RTX 2060 Super averages 45 FPS, while the RTX 3070 Ti provides around 80 FPS. Doubling the frame rate makes this action-packed game much smoother. An upgrade might be worth it. For gamers on a budget, the RTX 2060 Super does provide a playable experience, but the RTX 3070 Ti makes the gameplay much smoother overall. Let's look at the side-by-side performance.
That easy. Would she?
She never does. Stay alert.
There she is! Brother!
Let's move on to Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 was tested using identical settings for both cards, visible on screen. At 1440p resolution in Space Marine 2, the RTX 2060 Super gives us about 34 FPS, while the RTX 3070 Ti delivers around 60 FPS. For gamers planning to play this at launch, having a stronger GPU ensures a much smoother experience. Let's check how they perform side by side. Next up, we have Black Myth Wukong. For Black Myth Wukong, both GPUs were set to the same configuration, which you can see on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Black Myth Wukong, the RTX 2060 Super delivers 25 FPS on average. Meanwhile, the RTX 3070 Ti manages slightly better at 43 FPS. This is one of those titles where upgrading could mean the difference between playable and unplayable. For the RTX 2060 Super, tweaking settings or using DLSS could help in making this game more enjoyable. Now let's compare their gameplay side by side. Now, let's look at The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 was tested with identical settings on both cards. They're displayed on your screen. At 1440p resolution in Last of Us, the RTX 2060 Super gives 30 FPS on average. The RTX 3070 Ti performs slightly better at 44 FPS. For story-driven games like this, that higher frame rate enhances immersion and responsiveness. The RTX 2060 Super is still capable of running this game, but it would benefit from lower settings or DLSS for a smoother experience. Here's the side-by-side comparison. Up next, we have Cyberpunk 2077. For Cyberpunk 2077, I've used the same graphics settings on both GPUs, visible on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Cyberpunk 2077, the RTX 2060 Super hits an average of 43 FPS. Meanwhile, the RTX 3070 Ti delivers around 73 FPS. If you're planning for future titles with ray tracing or open-world scope, the RTX 3070 Ti offers a big leap in headroom. The RTX 2060 Super is still playable, but for smooth experience, especially at higher settings, the RTX 3070 Ti is the clear winner. Let's take a look at the side-by-side gameplay. Finally, let's look at Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 was tested with the exact same settings on both GPUs, which you can see on the screen. At 1440p resolution in Red Dead Redemption 2, the RTX 2060 Super averages 45 FPS, while the RTX 3070 Ti hits about 71 FPS. For this demanding open-world title, 8GB VRAM can be a limitation at ultra textures, but the RTX 3070 Ti still delivers impressive results. Games like Red Dead benefit a lot from higher frame rates during intense scenes. The RTX 3070 Ti clearly handles it better. The RTX 2060 Super is still capable, but the RTX 3070 Ti offers that extra smoothness that makes the experience more enjoyable. Let's watch the comparison footage.